Time now for our business news. Stephen Carl is with us in studio. Stephen, starting on the markets, and there's worries still over the emerging markets hitting shares.
That's right. We've talked a lot about the Turkish lira and the Argentine peso falling dramatically in recent times. They're not alone among emerging market currencies that have slumped in recent weeks. Those fears now hitting stock markets as well. We had sharp falls on many emerging stock markets on Wednesday. Hong Kong and Shanghai were down as well. Today, shares starting firmly down in Asia, but we have seen somewhat of those losses being clawed back as time has gone on in the Asian markets. You can see the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, they're down over 1%. In trading today. On the European market, starting in the red as well across the board, though there have been some rather lesser falls on the European markets as well. Mining companies leading the falls there. Of course, they work a lot in emerging markets, but they're also concerned about trade tensions affecting their business too.
Meanwhile, Iran's rial actually hit a record low against the dollar on Wednesday.
It's dropped in value by 140% against the dollar since the US pulled out of the nuclear deal 4 months ago. Between Saturday and Wednesday, the currency lost a quarter of its value, making life difficult for many, as Solange Mijana reports.
Waiting out the long lines at foreign exchange bureaus. Many Iranians are trying to swap their nation's currency, the rial, for dollars. For it's already lost 2/3 of its value to the dollar this year.
We have some savings, and every day the value of it is going down while the dollar keeps going up. We figured we should buy some dollars now to protect our money. We are getting married soon and are going to need it to buy things.
The causes of the currency dive are many. There are the renewed American sanctions, growing fears about Iran's already struggling economy. The massive demand for dollars hasn't helped either, nor have weak banks or fearful foreign investors. A global sell-off of emerging market currencies is also at work. As the U.S. increases interest rates and as the dollar strengthens, Iran's currency, like Argentina and Turkey's, has suffered. To try and mitigate the slide, the Iranian government has set up a series of measures, among them a fixed exchange rate and punishing black market sellers. But for some, that won't do much.
There is no glimmering of hope that the situation changes. Up to now, I've seen no kind of practical and effective effective solution on behalf of the government to solve this problem.
The rial's staggering 140% drop in value in the past 4 months may continue, for a second round of U.S. sanctions is expected in November.
Well, another country at the centre of this turmoil, of course, as we were just saying, is Argentina. Their finance minister has been meeting with officials from the IMF.
That's right. Nicolas Duhovne says Argentina has not asked for extra bailout money from the International Monetary Fund, nor is it seeking funding from elsewhere. The minister is in Washington to negotiate accelerated payments from the IMF from its $50 billion bailout agreed last June. Mr. Duhovne says they're expecting to reach a deal on the new timetable by the end of the month.
I want to say to Argentinians that I see with great confidence the progress we've made in recent days. I am certain that through the reformulation of the program we're working on, we will be able to leave behind these times of anguish and of volatility.
Quick look at some more of the day's business headlines for you. Uber has announced new features aimed at improving passenger safety. They include the ride-hailing firm contacting passengers and drivers if smartphone sensors detect a possible crash or a prolonged stop during a journey. The change is coming after a series of safety scandals involving Uber and its rivals in the industry. And Amazon has ordered 20,000 new vans from Mercedes-Benz as it plans to handle more of its own deliveries. The vans won't be owned by the online retail giant. They'll be leased out to smaller providers. This as the company tries to exert greater control over deliveries of its orders. Amazon plans to have the full fleet on the road by the end of next year.
Well, finally, Stephen, for this business update. Now, Italy is pretty much well known for its good coffee, but there's a very famous American chain that thinks it will nonetheless prove popular there.
Starbucks has come to Italy. The unthinkable has happened. They're opening their reserve roastery in Milan tomorrow. If this is after 25,000 stores in 78 countries, they're finally braving the home of espresso. Now, it's a pretty special kind of Starbucks. It's in a converted post office. It won't have the ordinary product lineup. There'll be no blended drinks, no frappuccinos. Instead, there'll be espresso, of course. There'll be pizza and pastries made by the local baker, Princi. The Starbucks story actually began in Milan. It's there where founder Howard Schultz was inspired to set up the chain through the love of espresso. Locals will get a chance to buy their frappuccinos, though. Later this year, Starbucks is planning to open more normal cafes in the city by the end of 2018.
OK, Stephen, thanks a lot for that business update.